Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what video game would you wish to play again for the first time? Bioshock. Edit, thanks for the awards. TBH, I was never interested in the trilogy cause I'm not very good at first-person shooter games. During the lockdown last year, I decided to give it a try and now I am totally obsessed with Rapture. Would you kindly? A man chooses. A slave obeys. Portal, followed by Portal 2. I just played Portal 2 again. I usually have a phenomenal memory, but apparently I originally played it when I was significantly drunk or otherwise altered and I remembered almost nothing. 10/10 would recommend. An almost perfectly fresh playthrough. If you've got a shorty memory like mine and wait a couple years between playthroughs, it's like playing for the first time again. It's beautiful. The Star Wars Cotter games. I've played them both way too many times. One of my all-time favorites for sure. I miss the heart-stopping feeling from the reveal toward the end of the game. So few games have ever come close to that. What I wouldn't give to experience that reveal for the first time. Someone spoiled it for me when I was in high school. Not that I haven't held on to that bitterness for 15 years or anything. Super Mario 64. For kids in the late 80s/early 90s we only had 2D games, and when Super Mario 64 came out it was magical. Mario's controls were so precise and accurate and it looked so ahead of its time. I grew up on the 2D Sonic games, and when I first got my hands on Mario 64 it blew my mind. Jumping through that first painting and popping up in Bobo MB Battlefield, with that wonderful soundtrack, was incredible. This is my favorite answer. I remember my dad and I rented it for like 2 months straight from our local video rental place. When we first ran around the flag post my dad almost shit his pants. Super nostalgic for me, haha. RuneScape before bots took over. Definitely, also RuneScape game was / is best when nobody has any idea what they're doing. All the wiki guides and information available now take away some of that charm. As fun as it was mindlessly bumbling around the world, I was still pulling up Rune HQ for those quest guides, man. Murder mystery was a nightmare for me. Metal Gear Solid. What was that noise? I loved the Psycho Mantis boss fight first time I encountered him. I'd never seen a game screw with the player like that before. Or since. I'm going way old. The original MYST. Edited to add. Thanks for the awards. My first ones. Total game changer, the eerie stillness, the haunting music. MYST was a major reason I did so poorly in school the year it came out. Subnautica. I made the mistake of checking the wiki my first time around. That or Zelda bot. Oh yay, famous Subnautica. Every time I get to the end I am like, nice, let's get the fuck out from this forsaken planet and fast. I recently got the game and got lost after 5 minutes. I simply didn't know what I should do, sadly. Game looks fantastic but I don't want to Google right at the beginning. Fallout 3. It was so revolutionary to me when it came out. I spent hours upon hours just combing through bombed out buildings. Now it seems pretty basic, but at the time it was so immersive that I almost quit my job just to keep playing. Edit, wow, thanks for all the awards. Especially because they were real places. I loved comparing the views to modern-day pictures of DC. When my friend and I went to DC a few years ago, we had to take the metro for part of it. He had to, listen to a bunch of inane "I killed a super mutant there" jokes. Red Dead Redemption 2. Edit, thanks for the awards, I've never got any before. Absolute masterpiece of a game, one of the best ever made. I agree 100%, if not the best ever. Oh Arthur. Don't oh Arthur me, get out of here. Oh Arthur. Skyrim. The feeling of exciting hell at the beginning and realizing you can go anywhere and do anything is a feeling I would pay money to get back. Bethesda has a real knack for catching that feeling. Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4 all have that exiting one area and seeing the open world for the first time. I'm a huge fan of it. I remember being a sophomore in college when that game came out. Me and 2 of my friends all piled into my tiny apartment for the long weekend and played it almost non-stop. They each brought over their TVs and Xboxes and we just set them all up side by side in my living room. Good times. Unreal Tournament. Back when I played PC games and life was simpler. Classic. Halo. I first played as a kid and didn't realize how good the shift in tone from bullet-belching super soldier to fighting alien zombies was. You're cool until you're scared. Truly a masterpiece. The Flood terrified me as a kid. Luckily that was the game me and my older brother played all the way through on co-op, but lord, I had nightmares about them, and earlier in life the Red Dead and Wall Masters from Ocarina of Time. After fighting the Flood for a few levels, running into the Covenant again was like seeing a group of old friends. Lol. Half-Life back in the early 2000s. I remember when Half-Life came out. Back then you could still burn copies of game discs and use a crack to play it for free. Got a copy from my uncle knowing nothing about it. Up until then my experience with shooters was just GoldenEye and Doom/Doom clones. Just going through the train ride and exploring the office I thought, holy shit. What is this? This is different. That, along with Ocarina of Time, were the games that made me really love video games as an art. I bought Half-Life 2 and was super excited to play it. After installing all 5 discs, it needed to verify with Steam and it took over 15 hours on dial-up. Back when Steam was hated. I still replay it every few years, and I wish I could experience it for the first time again. Elder Scrolls 4: Oblivion. Went to my uncle's house for Christmas break. He had built his own PC and for 2 solid weeks I played the game for at least 16 hours a day. Had to go back home though and I never played it again. I've always had it in my mind to build my own PC, never have before, and playing it over again. Maybe with some mods to update the graphics. But the quest lines, side missions, items, magic, etc. just blew me away like nothing else had. Edit, holy shit. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. I've been talking about this game for 10 years and nobody I've came across has played it before. Seeing this game get this kind of love warms my heart. Oh man, the first time you get to Kvatch and the sky starts to turn red. That was when I knew I was playing something special. Outer Wilds. Once you play it, you can't truly play it again. I keep trying to convince my friends to play Outer Wilds, in part so I can talk to them about the experience afterwards. But it's so hard to really sell it without giving too much away. / Well, you've just got me. If I remember I'll report back in 6 to 12 years when I get round to it. Morrowind. That was more captivating than anything I had played before. It would be amazing if we could have an updated version. Morrowind, what a game. So wide and full of variety and opportunity, yet so unforgiving. Playing for days and weeks, not realizing you've sold or thrown away the package to Chaos Crusades, only to have to start over again. Then getting into the main quest line for real, backtracking the very old-fashioned journal for the very vague yet important information until you get to tell FYR and kill a Corpus Stalker, having to start the game over yet again. Doing one playthrough for each faction, earning the respect of every single NPC of the game, completing all guild and side quests with no quest trackers. Having Silt Striders and Boots of Blinding Speed as your main way of fast traveling until you find the fortress teleports. Was this from the DLC? Can't remember. Putting a stack of coins on your W key to level up athletics overnight. Finding Umbra and getting the Umbra sword for the early game cheese. Realizing at some point in your 40th playthrough that magic has actual uses. Role-playing the shit out of a video game like never before. This is the best game ever, and to sound cliché for the occasion, I'd give anything to experience this game for the first time ever again. On my first time playing I would just explore random caves and dungeons. Did this for a few months. Went into one particular dungeon and killed a guy, got a message saying I just killed an important character and could not continue the game. Was basically discouraged from ever exploring any more random dungeons after that. Still the best game I've ever played. 10/10. The Witcher 3. Still one of my all-time favorite games. Was going to say this, nothing has ever compared to this game in regards to the feeling of adventure it gives you. The exploration, the gradual learning of all its systems of combat and customization, the feeling of wonder its environments give off and the complete joy of going to a new map and realizing just how vast it is and that the story is nowhere near over. Also it has Gwet, which is just an incredible card game you can lose hours to when you've had enough of slaying monsters. After the Red Baron mission I knew this game was just above anything I'd played before in terms of story and emotions that it brings out in you. Getting to Novigrad for the first time was incredible. It was just so vast in scale and life that it felt almost too big to fit into a game that already had this much wilderness to explore. I spent a real-world week running back and forth over a couple square kilometers of city before quests took me back out into the larger world. Mass Effect 2. The entire trilogy really. As someone who has heard that the trilogy is fantastic but also having heard that the ending of the trilogy is universally hated, does it make sense for someone who loves a good story in games to start me knowing that the story ends terribly? Edit, thanks everyone. From what I've gathered, the overall consensus seems to be that the ending of ME3 isn't bad enough to overcome the story and gameplay of the first 3 games. Plus, many of you said the ending is not as bad as the internet made it out to be when ME3 first came out. And it's not a Game of Thrones ending either that retroactively ruins the series that preceded it. Thanks for all the replies.